Hi, my name's Cameron Green, and I'm doing the midterm presentation. The data set that I chose was student test performances, and it consists of 1,000 different test scores, or students that have test scores from 3 different tests: math, reading, and writing. They have a series of different attributes or variables: age, sex, ethnicity, lunch type, whether or not they completed the test prep, parents' level of education. There were some added as well for other modules, such as dates, um, dates, times, 7:30, 10, 1 p.m., 4, and those were different dates and times whenever the students took the test. Here's the table that exemplifies all the attributes and exactly in the order that they're supposed to be in. Here's the data dictionary. There wasn't really any data cleaning. What I did with the first module, this goes into all the functions that we learned, the VLOOKUP, and I did ID number 10 for this student, and I listed the IDs because it makes it easier for VLOOKUP. And what you do is you basically choose the ID, something that you want to return from. So I wanted to return the race or ethnicity. So essentially, it's like a longitude latitude thing, coordinator. So 10, and then you select the entire table array, and then 4, so 4 positions, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's going to return back group D. The same would be done for if I want to find the student ID 10, if I want to find their parental level of education. As for the match function, this is better equipped whenever you want to return a position of a cell. So if I want to find John Doe's 1117 or 110317 payment, it's going to be pretty hard to find in a whole bunch of data. But luckily it returns a cell position. So all I need to do is, if I want to find that specific thing, then I would essentially type it in. So S10, I chose S10. I wanted to find the first group E. So the first group E actually ended up being around 33. As for the sum, minimum, and maximum, those are located on the bottom. For the math, reading, writing, minimum, maximum. And the name range, I had already selected it. And basically I did group 10. And if I were to do equals sum group 95, 195. This is for module 2. I did average test scores for the test prep, and basically this showed that the average test scores, those who completed it actually scored higher on average relative to those who did not complete test prep. As you can see, the table shows it's marginally different, but it's different relative to they completed and they didn't complete. And these are pivot tables based on what we learned in class. And again, this was average test scores for the test prep. Second part of the module, did forget to mention my goals. So yeah, the VLOOKUP, does race or gender have any relationship to everything? Does parents' level of education have any relationship with lunch type or test scores? So what I did was I created a table, a correlation between test prep and parents' level of education. So parents level education will likely value highly educated. So they want their kid to get ahead. So when I inputted the data, what I actually found was the higher the education level, the lower the frequency of test prep, which is interesting because then the opposite would show that the lower education level of the student's parents, you would they would actually likely encourage their kid to get an education, so then they would complete the test prep more likely. That would be a possible interpretation to gather from the data, because as you can see, associates, high school, these those who completed are the highest and the lowest type of parents level of education. And the fourth module or third module, student, I created a histogram, and I did this originally for the averages, but I also realized I realized it wasn't the best. So what I did, because this showed me a lot of students passed, but from what I gathered with the data, that didn't seem right. So what I did was essentially I took a histogram and saw the frequency of different test scores. So basically 10 to 69. We're basically saying like how many students basically failed relative to how many students from 70 all the way to 100 actually passed. And you can see that there's a huge chunk of students failed the math, regardless if they had test prep or not. And this was apparent in the reading and the writing. And what this basically says is that um, yeah, a lot of students actually didn't pass, but furthermore, there was actually less students who completed the test prep, which indicates that test prep might actually be needed. And even the average mean was just below 70. I did this through the descriptive statistics. And finally, there is a line chart, and I did this for the times that I created. And um, as you can see, when students took their exams at 7:30, they scored the highest. And as students took their exams at later in the day, it actually decreased, but it did rise late afternoon. And that is my data set.